The high-end card market is an animal all of its own, and even attempting to predict the value of some cards is a fool's errand. But Parker and I are going to attempt to do it anyway. Let's data dive. Today's Market Movers video is sponsored by Whatnot. Whatnot has live auctions of all kinds of sports and trading cards every day and night, starting at just $1 for packs, boxes, breaks, singles, and more. It's a ton of fun, and if you scan the QR code on your screen or use the special link in our show description below, you'll get $15 in free credit when you sign up for Whatnot. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Market Movers video. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot, and I'm here today with Parker, who is my head of sports card data. And today we're predicting the final price of 7 noteworthy cards on this month's Fanatics Premier auction. And then we're going to reveal how close or how far off the mark we wind up. Now, I get asked all the time, what do I think certain high-end or ultra-rare cards might be worth, especially when I'm set up at card shows like I was recently at Fanatics Fest, at the National, and other shows. It's not easy to do, and to be totally honest, I am far from an expert on this matter, and I won't claim to be one. The high-end market is especially difficult because it ultimately comes down to what two bidders are willing to duke it out for, and many times it doesn't seem to logically make sense. But there are some things that you can do to try to apply logic and a thought process to those valuations, and that's what we're going to talk through today. So we're recording this video on June 24th, and the Premier auction ends on Thursday, June 26th. We'll reveal how far off we are at the end of this video and determine who wears the crown as the high-end oracle when we're done. You ready, Parker?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. So first card that we're going to talk about today is arguably the most iconic one on this list of 7 that we've selected. And there are far more, just to be clear. Tons of incredible cards ending on this Premier auction, as always. But this month, they've got a 1997 Metal Universe Championship Precious Metal Gems. Michael Jordan, these are numbered to 50. This is a PSA 7.5. And this is that scope effect from the championship ones. Very iconic, amazing card. Now, it's worth noting the prices that we're seeing on the screen here. This shows $220,000. Those prices are not including the buyer's premium of 20%. So it's a little thing you got to get used to when you're bidding on auction sites. When you click on it, it'll prompt you at the end and say, like, are you sure you want to bid this amount, whatever the min bid increment is, plus 20%. So it can be a little bit deceptive. When we publish this data in Market Movers, we always show the final price fully loaded, buyer's premium and everything included. So this is obviously a really big card. What's your prediction on where this one's going to end, Parker, and why did you decide on that number?
So basically, I was looking at, so the most recent comp, if you will, was a PSA 8 that did about $232,000. And that was in March of last year. However, the most recent sale of this card was $198,000.
Yep.
And that was in February of this year. So basically what I came out to is that I think this one's almost maxed out. It's not the highest grade ever of the card or anything like that. Obviously super iconic, but I don't think it's one where, you're going to get some way out of left field, like $100,000 spike in bids. So I think it's pretty much maxed out. I think it's going to, gavel at, I thought just around the $225,000 mark.
Okay.
So add the 20%, my final prediction price is $270,000.
Okay. So you think this one's pretty much maxed out right now. It's at $220, like hammer price before that 20%. I was looking at the same data in Market Movers, seeing different sales. It's interesting. The PSA premium is crazy, because we saw BGS 9 go for $269,000, and this one's, I don't know, it's already like trending up into that category. In fact, right now with the buyer's premium, $264. So it's fast approaching a BGS 9 as a PSA 7.5. Here's what I'll say about this. I could see this ending in you being like right on the money with just like one more bid or something on this card. What I also know is that these cards have been absolutely breaking records month over month this year on Fanatics Collect. For some reason, these 90s cards are getting a lot of attention. There's only 50 of these. I bet if we were to look at gem rate data, 50 of these have not been actually graded. It's probably significantly less than that. So I'm kind of going out on a limb here. I said 300,000. I think there's going to be more bids on this, and we'll see. It's the number one card showing up as the highest bid in the auction, and I think it'll stay that way. And because of that, maybe it'll get some more attention. Do I agree with that? Not necessarily, based on these other comps, but I think this one still has some room to go.
And so how we're doing this is we're just going card by card and whoever gets closest is the winner.
Yep.
So for this one, the line is 285
That's right.
with the premium.
Yep.
So if it goes over that, he wins. If it's below that, then I win.
Yep. Good call. Well said. And we've got 7 cards here. So we're just going to say whoever was closest on each card, therefore if somebody gets 4 right versus 3, or obviously more than that, will be declared the winner on Friday when we review this. Okay, I'm going to shift gears to the next card, and this time it is the 2018 Prism Gold, numbered to 10, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, PSA 10, and it's currently at $96,000 with the buyer's premium on it. Obviously, Shai, historic year, wins MVP, wins Finals MVP in that decisive Game 7. The timing of this is really interesting, right? So what did you look at? Obviously, there have been some sales of this card. What do you look at in terms of recent comps and what you think might happen now that he just won the championship?
So I'm kind of assuming that I'm gonna be the contrarian here, and I'm gonna say that we're gonna have a little bit of the hangover effect, because there's been just so much SGA hype, going MVP all the way through the playoffs, OKC, being not the favorite all year long. Well, I mean, they were, but to then go on and basically fulfill their potential. I mean, he basically did it all. And so I think there's going to be a bit of a hangover from that. And if this auction ended, a few weeks ago, I think it would have gone for a lot more.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm guessing it'll max out. I mean, the fact that it's only at, $80K right now on bids is, and I'm no, a total expert on this either, and following like trends of bids or anything. But, I'm going to guess it'll get to around like 110K on bids. So, my final estimate is 135,000.
Okay.
So it's going to go below because there was one that sold the exact card, did 152,000 in March.
Yeah.
So
it was a different serial number. There's 3 of these in a 10, but yes, there was another PSA 10 that sold in March for 152,000. I'm really torn on this one. Really torn. And the reason why I'm really torn is, like you said, I'm looking at that $153,000 sale from March, and then there was a PSA 9 that sold on May 2nd for 60,000. Now, normally you expect to see like a 2x multiplier from 9 to 10 on very rare cards. You don't get that 3 to 4x multiplier on cards like this typically. So that one dipped down significantly. But here's the reason why I think this could have some significant room to go up. I'm shifting my chart now, and I'll wheel this around and show you. Look how much higher Luka still is or has been in recent months compared to Shai. Luka hasn't won an MVP. Luka hasn't won a championship. Shai just did all of those things. I know Luka still has all the cachet and the hype, but that Prism Gold PSA 10 for Luka sold February 22nd, before his trade to the Lakers, for $342,000.
When was that again?
That was on February 22nd. Yeah, I think so, right? When did Luka get traded? I feel like that was before that. I don't remember exactly what the date was. I feel like Luka was in March sometime, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Either way, that was a very high sale on the Luka.
I think that's a star factor thing.
It is.
Luka's they're both, superstar. Well, I don't even know. Like, SGA's not, all of his numbers are superstar worthy, but he's not on billboards.
He's also kind of polarizing too. He's got a little bit of like an even-keeled personality. Some people call him a foul merchant and don't like him.
Yeah.
He's a bit polarizing. Here's my prediction. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going against what my brain tells me around this because of those recent sales, and I'm saying 200K. I think
200?
this one breaks another record. I'm going high. I think it closes the gap on Luka. I think it's going to hit 200. That's my prediction.
Being only at 80 with 2 days to go?
I think it's going to go up. I'm going to go out on a limb, and maybe I'm giving Parker a gimme here. That might be a freebie, but I'm just going with my gut. This one, and maybe I'm going a little bit too much with my heart on this one. Just saying, put some respect on his card, But we'll see. We'll see. All right, the third one that we're going to look at. This one's very interesting, very difficult, honestly. No comps for this card. 2024 Topps Royalty, which is a brand new set this year, brand new high-end product from Topps. Racket Knob Carlos Alcaraz, Relic Auto 1 of 1, CGC Authentic, currently at $48,000 with buyer's premium. This is already the most expensive Alcaraz card at $48K. prior to this, his highest sale was $34,000 on his 2022 Net Pro RPA. He just won the French Open in historic fashion with an insane comeback. He's won that now twice, and he already has 5 Grand Slams to his name. He's now tied Rafael Nadal for the fastest to 5 slams. He's just 22 years old, and I want to know how do you approach this? I have no idea on this one, honestly.
This one's insane because, when I searched for any Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, or Serena, like one-of-ones, I couldn't find like a single one over the 25K mark. So, for this, it already is the most expensive Alcaraz card of all time. And it's not a rookie or anything like that. It obviously is, I believe this is from the racket he won the Indian Wells?
Yes, that's correct, because that's the inscription on it. Yeah.
So, it doesn't say on the back.
Doesn't say what it's from on the back.
Nope, the relic contained within this card was used So, again, do we know if it was the one he totally won it with?
No.
Who knows?
It is event use, though.
Yeah. And it is a super cool card. But, we're in, like, really kind of uncharted. It feels like, like in the kind of the afterglow of that insane Roland Garros, comeback. It feels kind of like that. Like, that's what's kind of driving the price of this.
Yeah.
I kind of think this one's also a bit maxed out too. I could see it, getting a few thousand more, but I ultimately came up with a final price of $52,500.
Okay. I could see that definitely being the case. So this one, like I said, currently at $48K with buyer's premium. I don't have much else to say other than I just threw $63K at it. I think there could still be some hype around him, around this.
You could be right. This is one that I don't really see your point on the Shea.
Yeah.
But I could see where this one is, again, following the whole Roland Garros thing. Like,
Yep. I don't know.
It could be, some just fanatic. Some, was it the Commanders owner?
Yeah.
Who at Fanatics Fest
Yeah,
just walked into the room and said, who has the most expensive Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
$500K.
Well, we talk about high-end cards all the time on Cards on the Table when they set records and things. And I always say, in fact, I said last week that when it comes to high-end, nothing surprises me at this point because all it takes is 2 people who who get really passionate about wanting a card. And Alcaraz obviously has some really diehard fans and collectors. So we'll see with that one. All right, 4th one here. This one also very interesting.
Okay, this is one where you say, I just said I agree with you, to the nothing surprises us about the whole high end. This one is actually a bit of a misnomer to me. I don't know what's going on with
2023 Flawless, triple logo man, Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, 1-of-1 patch. Also, like the Alcaraz, currently at $48,000. This is out of Flawless. These are game-worn logo man patches of the 3 most, well, at the time of the draft at least, noteworthy draft picks in that draft. What's interesting about this is both now and long term, we know a lot of dual and triple and quad type cards, whether they just be images, autos, relics, whatever. They usually don't age well because only one of the players typically ends up being particularly good.
Like Steph Curry with Johnny Flynn.
Correct.
Or something,
yeah, so Scoot's obviously been a huge disappointment. Brandon Miller was actually pretty solid, but then he got injured and only played 27 games this last year. What do you think about this one?
So this is a tricky one to lead off on. So the only real comp for these, and again, this is really in that you're really just, in the wild, wild west of whatever, a couple people could, a couple bidders going at it, basically could determine a swing of a couple $100,000. So last month, there was this same card of LeBron, Jokic, Wemby, triple logo man. It did $348,000. So the fact it's only at 40,000 on bids right now.
Yeah, 48 with buyer's premium.
Makes me think like, I mean, it's not gonna go for like just 100. It can't. Like, so I don't know. My estimate is $250,000.
Woo!
I think that because ultimately, I think it's gonna fall short of the one with LeBron and Jokic because it's LeBron and Jokic. Who are obviously legends, all-time goats. And with this one, it's basically just Wemby, I think. There's still some hype at the moment around like Brandon Miller, not much Scoot. Give it 5 years. I think it'll only be Wemby on this card that people care about.
Yeah.
But
so
who knows?
250. All right. So you talked about this 2023 Jokic, Wemby, LeBron that did 348, also on Fanatics Collect, and this is where it's a good thing I'm screen recording, and our editor will be able to see my prices I wrote down, because I could have just said, well, I'll go 249 and keep moving on. But this is funny because I was the one being very optimistic and going high on a lot of these. I also honestly am having a hard time making sense of this. There was this Immaculate, which is probably player worn, that went for $38K with Asar Thompson on it. At the end of May. There are other Logo Man cards, but this is flawless. It's kind of in a league of its own. Triple.
So I did want to point out before you say your price that I kept seeing a bunch of dual Logo Mans from Panini Instant with him and one of the Thompson brothers, or like Brandon Miller.
Yep.
And none of them. I think the highest was $6K.
Yeah.
They were all like a few $1,000.
I'm looking at it right now on my screen. Yeah.
And so I didn't really have enough time to go back and look. Like, okay, has Panini done this before, where they've just released a bunch of Panini Instant like Logo Mans, but who knows, did they kind of water down the Logo Man a bit this year, and this is why
it's still flawless, which stands in a class of its own. I have no idea what to make of this. I've made 5 different videos about how I think Logo Mans are cool but overrated, and with this one I'm going 78,000. I went really low, so this is going to be really interesting. You went high, I went low. Yeah. It'd be funny if it ended up like smack in the middle.
It probably will.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Someone's going to come along, right?
I don't know.
That's my thinking.
Parker's going to pay somebody off so he can win this this contest.
I don't have that money.
All right, we're going to jump into our 5th card. And this time it is the 2015 Upper Deck The Cup Connor McDavid rookie patch auto, numbered to 99, BGS 9, currently at 38,400. McDavid's obviously the most celebrated player of this generation. Just missed, well, maybe just missed is the wrong, but he made it to the finals for the 2nd year in a row.
Yes.
Lost back-to-back years to the Panthers. Just not a good matchup for the Oilers, honestly. And there's no more noteworthy card than the Cup RPAs for hockey players. McDavid was just our cold card this week on the top 5. How does the timing of this card hitting the market right now impact its final value? What's your prediction on this one?
I think it's a terrible time to sell it.
Yeah.
Even if you won, because we talked about how, sports cards are driven by hype. And, once you kind of reach the apex, reach the mountaintop like Shea just did, you can't get any more hype. Like, you're already there. Yeah. So to me, it's just, it falls off a bit. And with him losing, I think that, my little hot take might be that McDavid he might be the Mike Trout, of this kind of generation for hockey. All the stats in the world. What is it? 9 straight seasons, 90+ points, but no cups to show for it. A
couple of appearances, which is more than Trout can unfortunately say.
True. Yeah, on that front, for sure. But he only had 1 goal in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So basically, I think that, so it was that card, we went from the total wild west with the triple Logo Man card, where you could take a shot in the dark and you might be right, you might be 100K off. This card, we actually have a lot of comps to track.
We do. This one's more about the timing. That's kind of the wild card.
So in January, it did 44, February 45, April 49.
Yep.
So basically, I think that it's going to take a notch down. My estimate's $45,000.
Okay. We're going to be very close on this one with our picks.
I figured.
The timing is the wild card here. I think it's still a prestigious enough card that the people who go after hockey cards know how important he is to the sport, and his legacy will be there either way. The Trout comparison's an interesting one. I'll give you that.
Yeah, because we've seen how he's kind of fallen off, and guys like Shohei has kind of supplanted him.
Yeah. I went with 48. So you said 45, and I went with 48. So currently at 38.4. You mentioned the comps. Last one was 49.2, also on a BGS 9. So I think it lands just short of that. That was interesting because that was in April.
This one will be close.
Yeah, this one will be close. All right. sixth card on our list. So we've got 2 left. This time it's the 2024 Bowman Chrome Pod Parasha Jack Caglione Prospect Auto 1 of 1 BGS 10 Pristine. And this one's currently at $12,600. Now, another interesting timing one, because Caglione a month ago was the hottest player on planet Earth, maybe in any sport, but for sure in baseball during his call-up. Since then, 64 at-bats, 203 batting average, only 2 home runs. It's obviously very early in his career. I'm not too worried about that piece for him, like long term. He's a monster. But for this card, not the best timing for the consigner. No. What do you think about this one?
Well, speaking to timing, I mean, doing our research for this, the same exact card of Cam Smith did 37,000 in March after he had a red hot spring training, which is insane because the same Pod Parasha Sapphire Bowman first auto of both Jason Dominguez and Paul Skeens just did in the 15K range, which I thought was insane. Like that gap between Cam Smith 37, Skeens like 15.
Yep.
Is,
Doesn't always
that
make
also
sense.
boggles the mind a bit. I think that the BGS 1010 will play in a little bit. I came up with 18 grand.
Okay. I was definitely more optimistic on this one. So his Sapphire Red Auto, PSA 1010, did 28,800 in March, at the end of March.
Yes.
So
more peak hype.
It's peak hype, but it's really hard for me to see this card selling for less than that card. It's possible. His black, number to 10, PSA 10, Pop 1 at the time in March did 28,600. So he's had some big sales. If the Pod Parasha sells for less than that, it just would be a little surprising to me. I have a hard time seeing it go for less than that. I said 35,000.
Yeah,
so
I think you're right on this one. I was more looking. I should have obviously looked at his comps. I was more looking at the other players. What their Pod Parashas did.
Yeah.
So I didn't see that red sale.
Yep.
But I think you might win on this one.
Okay. Well, I hope so. All right, last card, and this one is actually a card I've never seen before. This is 2002 Upper Deck Honor Roll Signature Class Michael Jordan Kobe Bryant Auto, number to 25, BGS 95 with a 10 auto grade. This one currently stands at 40,800 with the buyer's premium, and this may stand out above all the cards as like the perfect example of impossible to predict, because not because there haven't been sales, because it's already higher than the last 2 sales. There was a $27,300 sale in January and another one from May of the previous year for $15,000. So this card does occasionally surface, and it's already above that at 40,800. So where does this one end?
I mean, just looking into dual Kobe Michael autos, there's ones that I found 2 from '08 Upper Deck Black that were out of 15, lower BGS grades, like I think it was 7.5 and 8.
Yeah.
But in the past month, and they both did about $17,000. And they good looking cards, all that stuff. And what's interesting about this one is it's more unique. It's like it almost looks like it's on like a wooden bat. If it was a baseball card.
It's like a
basketball court. It's just on wood basically. And you just get kind of these little silhouettes basically of their their So no full color images, and it's MJ on the Wizards too.
True.
So this one also is very hard to predict. In April, there was an '08 Exquisite Enshrinements card, dual auto of them at 25 that did 72K.
Yeah, but Exquisite's kind of in a class of its own.
All
right, what's the number?
So my final number I came up with, 45,000.
Ooh, okay, I love this because hopefully, just for the drama,
almost maxed
just
out.
for the drama of this, I hope that when we get to this one, when we reveal on Friday, that we're tied 3-3.
I hope so too.
Because
we both gave each other one.
I'm just going to say this sweet card. There's 14 9.5s and 3 graded higher. This is weird. It's just not a card. The 2000s Upper Deck space with all the different one-off and oddball sets that they had with autos and dual autos and relics, it kind of confuses me. Like those people who know that market, they know what they like and don't. I haven't always been able to make heads or tails of it. I went 44. Okay.
Oh.
So this is going to come down
way higher.
so close. If we end up 3-3, and this one comes down to it, we could literally be $1,000 difference is
now
going to make,
I gotta
make
hope
the difference.
that it goes higher.
Yeah. So, all right. So I am a little bit nervous. There were a few where the gap makes me uncomfortable, but
I got
we're
one
going to
of
see.
those.
So we'll be back. It's going to be a few days for us. It's going to be just a moment for you, and we'll be back with the results and see who won. All right, we're back. It's Friday, and Parker, what's wrong? What's wrong, Parker? You don't look so good. You don't look so good.
Just lost in the challenge.
Feeling all right? All right, so we're going to go through the results, and I was up, admittedly, until this ended at like 2 in the morning yesterday, doing some other work and just watching these scores go tick, 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 and some of them were very crazy. So we're going to start back with the Jordan Championship PMG, and you said 270K. I said 300K. Final price, including buyer's premium, 312,000.
Yeah.
That's 1-0 for me. What do you think of this sale?
I think it just shows 90s basketball inserts are just, they're the hot thing right now.
Parallel, technically. But
Yeah.
Who's counting?
Well, yes.
Yes,
True.
they are the hot thing.
Because, I mean, the last sale of the card in February, basically 200,000 for a BGS 7. You know, it's PSA and BGS, but
Yep.
half a grade on their scales apart leads to over 100K difference.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was a big one. So I thought it would go high. I guess I was right. Let's go to the next one. And this one, well, I'll just spoil it and say you pretty much hit the nail on the head. This is the Shea. This one disappoints me. To all you bidders on this Shea who have the money to go after this card, it disappoints me. You said 135,000. I said 200,000. I got optimistic. I let my heart go on this one, and it finished at 132. So you were just 3,000 over on this one.
Yeah,
I still compare it to the gold Luka.
It's just the classic. I wasn't even looking at the. It's just the classic come down from he achieved everything this season. Like there's no more room to generate any more hype. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yep, it's true. All right, next one. So it's 1-1. This is the most shocking auction result of this entire Premier auction. By far, I would say. The royalty racket knob, Carlos Alcaraz. I hope there's not some kind of racket going on with this. You said 52,500.
Yeah.
I believe the previous high sale was 34,000 for an Alcaraz RPA.
Yes.
So you said 52.5. I said
Yes.
63,000. This finished at $222,000. Brand new set, Topps royalty. What do you say about this?
Is this the most expensive tennis card ever?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah, I think the
Officially?
most expensive Federer was like 180.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is, it's not a rookie,
It's not.
It is a one of one,
Yep.
From, an iconic tournament that he won. I'm struggling to put other than two, I'm guessing like two very wealthy tennis fans going head to head bidding would have to do this, or multiple tennis fans.
Yeah. I just worry that because it's not a rookie, more of these are going to come out in future years, and I would worry about how that impacts the value. But maybe they didn't care about the value. Maybe they just wanted the card.
I would assume they didn't.
Yeah,
if they're paying
maybe they
this
just
much.
really wanted the card.
So congrats to them in that case.
2-1. 2-1 in favor of me so far. Here we got to the flawless triple logo man, Brandon Miller, Wemby, Scoot Henderson. You said 250,000. I said 78,000. This was our biggest gap between two cards, and it finished at 90,000. So I was 12,000 shy. You were just a hair over on this one.
Just a little bit, $250,000. I was saying, okay, it's going to be $100,000 less than the LeBron Jokic Wemby. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes some sense, I guess. But not much makes sense in these auctions. So
yeah, it turned out all that was required for Jokic to finally get an expensive card was to have LeBron and Wemby on it. But this one, I guess, didn't carry the same mystique for the bidders. All right, 3-1. Moving on, Connor McDavid, RPA, the Cup. You said 45K. I said 48K.
Yep.
Finished at exactly 48K. Yep. Right on the nose on this one. Gotta love that. Yep.
I know, and I thought, okay, April, it goes for 49. Like, it's going to take a step back after his, kind of terrible Stanley Cup performance. Nope.
Yep.
Basically sells for what it did in April.
Sells for what it did. I think these cards are just, they're kind of a floor at this point, I think. So
yes.
Yeah, all right.
McDavid,
It's 4-1.
Yep.
We're moving on to the Cags. Jack Caglione, his Paparasha, one of one. This was a BGS 1010. You said 18,000.
Yes.
I said 35,000. Finished at 63,000.
I mean,
big time money for CAGs on this card.
I made the mistake of reasoning that, oh, okay, Skeens is, Pop Parasha Auto Prospect did 101 did 15K. Okay, CAGs will probably do 18K. Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
Wrong way of looking at it. I should have looked at his other, parallels, like the red out of 5, and saw what that did.
Yep.
So.
Well, it's 5-1. Yeah. And I was hoping we would get to 3-3 going into this last one because you said 45,000. I said 44,000 on this UD Honor Roll Signature Class Jordan Kobe Dual Auto. You said 45. I said 44.
I can't
Final hammer price, 43,200.
I get 1,800 off, and I can't even win this one.
Yeah, you get within a few percentage points of the actual price, and still not good enough to take down old Teapot. So, one thing that this says to me, though, as we go through these, and there were a lot of other auctions too, is I say it all the time, the market's not particularly rational, like logical on a lot of these cards.
When you get into the stratosphere, it's not.
You just don't know what's going to happen. And if people fix and lock in on these cards, I always wonder, like, is it because they don't care, they don't have good access to data, they just missed on the last one and now they're FOMO buying and just hitting that, they're like, I will get this one because I missed the one 2 months ago. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for it. Maybe they just up late, drinking way too many Red Bulls like the Gretzky guy and just hammering away. But either way, congrats to all the sellers. Congrats to the winners in this auction. And let us know if you like this video, if you like this format. It was fun. I like beating Parker in challenges, so I hope to do that more in the future. And any parting remarks, Parker?
Well, I need to beat you at something, so I think I'm going to have to decide what our next challenge is.
All right. If you have any ideas for another good challenge, you let us know down in the comments, and we'll see if we can give Parker a fighting chance. If you want access to all this data, go to marketmoversapp.com, use promo code DIVE. You get 2 weeks completely free, and then 20% off any plan for life. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy investing, keep on collecting, and make sure to have fun.